Thank you for staying with us. A devastating attack occurred at Faudiya School in Geidam local government area of Yobe State, resulting in the death of 3 students. The school, affiliated with the Islamic movement in Nigeria, was targeted by gunmen on motorbikes wielding AK-47 rifles early Friday morning. According to the State Command's Public Relations Officer, Dungus Abdukarim, the police received a distress call and responded promptly. One student was injured and is receiving treatment at an undisclosed hospital. A teacher who escaped the attack reported no prior confrontation with any armed groups, describing the incident as a surprise. An investigation has commenced, with the police working to identify the perpetrators, their motive, and credible witnesses. The attack's connection to Boko Haram or bandits is yet to be determined. This tragic event has sent shockwaves through the community, highlighting the ongoing security challenges in the region. Joining us in the studio for this conversation is a security consultant, Darlington, Umoru. Good morning. It's good to have you join us. Good to have me join you. Great morning, Nigerians, but unfortunately we're here again to discuss innocent students 3 of
being
them
killed.
Yes, by attackers who are yet to be identified. And
up until this moment.
For now, yes.
Up until this moment.
They have not been identified. You have issues with that, obviously.
Up until this moment.
Why is it taking so long to identify them?
First, I want to condole with the families of those who lost those innocent children who were sent to school to study. And it is sad when parents begin to mourn children they are trying to build a future for, particularly at premises that are supposed to have been secured by our security agencies from what we have been, the trend. There's a trend. I feel sad. And then even so, after 24 hours, going to 48 hours, we are yet to identify those who carried out
the attack.
That heinous attack.
Let's go back a bit. You said there is a trend. When you say there's a trend...
Schools, over time, have been attacked. And so that is supposed to give some sense of security. You now know that we've had over time, virtually every year, we come sit here to discuss schools being attacked, school children being taken away, innocent children unarmed. And so, within the Northeast and the Northwest, not much of the North Central, we've had series of experiences, starting from the Chibok days up until now. We've had situations where we believe or think or thought that at least if you don't provide uniformed men in these schools, we should have some measure of intel. Some persons should sit there to provide intel. And then, because no armed group has come up to say or claim responsibility for that act, our security agencies are here to tell us exactly who did what was done in that school. I feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. I thought by now we should be told that there is a pursuit, not investigation, of some persons. The difference is that investigation, you're working on what happened. And yet, you're yet to give us clues of exactly what happened or who is to be held responsible. By now, we should be told that the northeast from, if you want to draw a little map around the northeast, you could, there are groups you could immediately finger or suspect, and then you begin to narrow it down gradually. In the northeast, what we suffer basically in this country are activities of the terrorists, Boko Haram, ISWAP. And then northwest, you'll be talking about bandits, kidnappers who want to kidnap for money, who want to do business with human lives. We were not told that certain persons were kidnapped from that school.
They were killed.
And then we're told that that school is owned by Shiites. Okay? And now, the groups operating within those that axis, not just in Geidam, the northeast, are either ISWAP or Boko Haram. And their modus operandi is different from what we have in the northwest. I'm not supposed to be breaking this down here. But I expected that those who are responsible ought to have done this breakdown and then narrow it down to a group and be telling Nigerians at this point in time, particularly to console the families of those whose children were killed.
Well, I love the fact that you're trying to, paint, connect the dots, paint different pictures and trying to connect the dots. But this incident is something that is, according to a school belonging to the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, that's the IMN. Remember that during the Buhari administration, they faced a lot of issues. Even recently, they had issues, they had face-off with the police. But that group has also faced previous attacks. What implication does this have? Or do you suspect some sort of sectarian tensions, within and the security, broad security in the region?
One of the teachers who were told, who escaped, in his narration did say that before now, there were no provocations between the school or the Shiite and any other sect. And so there's nothing to point at maybe any other body. Okay? And so if he has said that, it meant that there are pointers. When I read that aspect of his own statement, I saw it as something that could also give a clue to the security agencies in terms of trying to find out those who were responsible in that act. And so, first, the police, the DSS, whose responsibility actually it is to gather intel and tell Nigerians about what has happened. I know they are working. I'm not saying they are not working at this point in time. They are really working, but they should up the antics. Right. It should be better than some persons are mourning, for goodness sake. We are parents. We have children. We have seen what happened. If you remember the situation, the Chibok situation, some parents died. Some died in the course of what happened to their children. Are we saying that schools should be shut down in the entire Northeast? Are we saying people should not go to school anymore? Are we saying that our security agencies cannot provide proactive situations or solutions to manning some of these schools? Are we saying that there's nothing we can do other than to fold our arms to be reactionary in most times?
As again, it's been...
For goodness sake, these are children.
Right.
And these are children of people.
Absolutely.
Who are there expected to learn and become the leaders of this country tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we cannot protect them.
That's a big question. Now, the other matter is that this school is located at a border town, Geidam.
Yes.
And there's also the matter of border security. We've seen attacks of communities along those border lines. And there has been talks about the porosity of these people and how vulnerable they are to these kinds of attacks.
Porosity of the borders.
The borders, and then the fact that this makes these communities exposed.
Vulnerable, yes.
They are vulnerable. Could that also be a matter here?
Yes, it is. It is because if you look at, if I don't know if you've visited some of these areas before, I observed that Nigeria shares borders with 4 countries: Republic of Benin, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. Now, down south, we have porous borders, but at minimal level. But down north, northeast, northwest, there are borders where, let me narrow it down to what the former president said. Former President Muhammad Buhari. At a point in time, when he was discussing proliferation of small arms and light weapons, he almost gave up. Because he was like perplexed. He could not really explain to Nigerians why we suffer so much proliferation, particularly down the Sahel. I said it here the last time, that what some of these countries have done, forming the Association of Sahel Countries, will not even help us. It was not too good, even when it was under ECOWAS, because that movement, freedom of movement, within countries that were ECOWAS countries,
yes,
was not helping us.
Right.
Now, some of these terrorists, I don't know what to describe them as.
Terrorists.
Some of these terrorists, for goodness sake. Some of these borderlines, some of them are, we have the joint border patrol, yeah, for instance.
That's right.
We have all of that, but the vast land between Nigeria and these countries, like I've said, even if you line up all the personnel you have, you will not be able to cover them. And so what do we need at this instance? We need tracking equipment, plenty of it. We need much of technology. We need the UAVs, we need the UGVs.
What's that? There are those who don't understand what you mean by UAVs and UGVs.
Unmanned aerial vehicles, okay, and unmanned ground vehicles.
Right.
Those of them that crawl, that you could plant, that people could even see as insects. Okay? They just crawl. Normally, they gather intel to tell you about movements of people. The federal government on annual basis, I repeat, the federal government of Nigeria on annual basis, in our budget, approves or provides enough funds to defense, to procure equipment, modern technological equipment.
Are you
so where are they?
Saying that they provide for they actually?
He's saying they provide.
Okay.
So where's the money?
Let me take it slowly,
perhaps,
so that people will really understand it. On every year, go check how much the budget for defense is. Those men who are out there on daily basis, their activities and services are supposed to somewhat be propelled by intel and technological provisions of intel. It makes their job easier.
That's right.
We have joint border patrol. How much of area patrol? Let's agree that certain technological equipment may not work because we do not have enough power. But you equally have some equipments that do not need power. How much patrol, area patrol, have we had? the Joint Border Patrol. How many UAVs have you given to them to adopt? Now, I kept saying there's a trend. Sometimes we had situations in this country under the Jonathan administration where, when this whole thing just started, our soldiers trailed the terrorists to a point when they went out of this country. They didn't even know. They were escorted back from reports, allegedly, by soldiers of another country. Where is technology? Now, sorry, 1 second. There is an Abakari once upon a time in this country.
Super Cop?
We called him Super Cop. Why did he succeed so much? At times like this, sometimes he was deployed at a point in time even to Southeast to fish out some persons. Not even Southwest. He was here to capture some famous kidnappers. In the North, he was sent after some persons and he succeeded. He was not a wizard.
How did he do it?
Technology. He had the tracking equipment available to him. How did he acquire all of that? How? Who gave him the support to achieve all of that? He knew what he wanted to succeed.
Talking about technology, people actually held the NCC to task that, okay, listen, you've been shouting about name-team linkage and all of that, and we've not been able to track these criminals.
I would have wished we don't go there.
No. We have to go there because they created an alibi for themselves. They said they actually deregistered some people who have one person owning 10,000 SIMs, another person owning 1,000 SIMs, and they barred them. They told them, take all the SIMs that you actually prefer, and they took it. But they said that they provide all the information that the Nigerian securities need, but it's not left to them to hold it. NITCOMSAT also said that they have satellites and all of that, but the mistake that people make is that these satellites do not take, real life images, 3D images, but they still provide information.
And it takes time to process those images.
Exactly. So they said it's even far behind. It's not as sophisticated as, the other ones. So, but they provide information to the security agencies, and it's left for them to take action. So this goes to the question I want to ask regarding the Abakari. How did he do his, and what kind of collaboration did he have at that time that he was able to achieve these gains?
I may not be able to say exactly how or what collaboration he had, but he had the support of Mr. President then. He had the support of his IG, and he was given. It was somewhat independent. It was somewhat independent. I was at his office once upon a time. I had the privilege to have gone to his office in Abuja. And beyond all of that, I was able to do some background checks. And I discovered that what many of us didn't know that helped him to succeed was just technology. It wasn't that the man's father was a native doctor. It wasn't that the man's father was one big imam or one big pastor or one seer who would tell him, go to point A.
See in Nigerian movies.
The man is there. I tell you this. An American was kidnapped sometime and was taken to Sambisa Forest. They knew where to find him.
Yes.
They went straight on there to take him.
Yeah.
Freed him. We have also had situations like that. Very few is the use of technology, modern technology. And I said this in another television station. Just like you, the security agents, are working with technology, the criminals are also doing the same. And what makes it a little bit more difficult for security agents is the fact that these persons are nomadic. They are always mobile. They understood it. Initially, when this whole saga started, people said, how I don't want to name a tribe now. These people are people who are not educated, who don't even know their left from their right. So you're getting it wrong. They have all departments. Even the department that provides information for where they go to attack, they also have a department that produces some of these firearms for them.
They're not barbarians.
So we saw situations in the forest when our gallant military overran them and then recovered a lot of things that gave intelligence. But what have we done with all of that? As much as you push the military to remain in the rain and in the sun, without them you cannot close your eyes. You cannot sleep. But even so, it's a combined work.
Absolutely.
You need this, they need that. And Mr. President talked about the clearinghouse when he just came on board. And that is where information are supposed to be shared.
So if information is being shared and action is not being taken as required, then there's a problem somewhere.
No, there's a calamity. No problem, call it calamity.
You know, you have to be careful with the choice of words we use.
A calamity is not wrong. It's admissible on air.
So invariably,
you are saying somebody went to school to read, to study, and then he came back to sit back home with his parents, doing nothing. So what is the essence of investing in that child going to school?
That is a critical aspect I need you to perhaps speak to again. Right now, is that what we call sabotage?
I think that's a bigger word now. Sabotage, yes, to some extent, we have saboteurs, okay? And oftentimes, the chiefs have often talked about that. Even the paramilitary have often also talked about that. But sabotage in the sense that infiltrators are deliberately planted in some of these organizations to leak out information. Don't let me sound like a broken record this morning. But the truth is, in every organization, there are infiltrators and there are saboteurs, those who will give out information either for greed or are deliberately planted there or otherwise. And so sometimes, that's why, you see, all of that has been reduced now, particularly in a military movement. We had so many ambush in the past, but we no longer record so much of that now because the military is particularly aware that there could be this and that. And so movements are not conspicuously revealed in most times until the 11th hour. And then so if you're going to carry out, there are a few persons who will be aware. Some will just be given the information that we're moving to so place. That is to reduce. And then they are also fighting and looking into their system to see how they could fish out some of these persons. And then secretly and privately, many of them have been removed. So you cannot rule that out from human existence, particularly in organizations where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 persons. Okay? The economic factor is there, the bad economy, and then will allow some people. You remember the case of the man who was coming to hit Abuja, who was moving from a northern part of Africa. The DSS gave a profile of that man, and then what happened? And then, let me borrow the word of Mr. President, at the clearinghouse, the job moved from one sector to another to say, okay, it's your turn, man the borders. This is the profile of the man coming. This is the vehicle of the man coming. This is the number plate. These are the number of passports he's carrying. These are the different names he's using. These are the likely entry points he's going to use. And now, beyond land borders, it was not extended to airports.
Now, that's how.
But at the end of the day, what happened? That same paramilitary body, don't let me mention their names this morning, eventually, it leaked to the press. And by the time the thing got to the press, it was...
Yeah, so that's how extensive, intelligence is at dealing with issues. But now there is a concern in the community. There's tension. They are scared that this attack could cause something.
Could?
Yes, that's what they're saying. But it is for you to tell us what could happen, the implication.
Which of the attacks?
The one on the students.
Whether shites will want to take to street to make career protests and all. Reprisal on who? If you say reprisal, on whom?
Because they say there's tension in the community.
Because there's tension, definitely there will be tension in the community looking at the antecedents of shite. That is it. But reprisal on whom? One, except if you say they have information about those who carried out that dastard act. Except you are telling me this morning that the police has provided information, or the DSS has provided information, intel, as to who was responsible for that attack. So would you just go to the public to begin to unleash on whom? Transferred aggression? I do not think so.
So you're calling for the escalation of tensions?
Yes. The escalation, we don't need that. Definitely because of the ownership of the school and those who are involved, people will begin to feel that all of that could happen. But I think they should give peace a chance and allow the police to immediately tell us, or the DSS tell us, who is responsible.
Trust the police to do the work effectively with what happened in Abuja?
They have no choice. They could have their own apparatus. But even so, the police, the security agencies are those constitutionally saddled with the responsibility of telling Nigerians about what has happened.
All right. So much has been said, especially with government, addressing this matter at the roots, tackling it as much as possible, and also the matter of giving peace a chance. We'll have to leave the conversation here now. Security consultant Darlington Umoru, thank you so much for your time on the program.
My pleasure being here again.
Right.